Hello everyone, it's the Rational Brit here. I need to ask you a very specific question. Who is Mikey McCoy? You've probably never heard of him. That's exactly the problem. Brian Harple sat down for a 3-hour interview on Sean Ryan's show to discuss the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated. 3 hours of detail about security, protocols, and response. Mikey McCoy's name was never mentioned once. But here's what's fascinating. Video footage shows McCoy was there that day. And according to multiple sources, he didn't just attend. He apparently took charge of the entire response. So tonight we're going to find out who this man is, what his role actually was, and most importantly, why his name is being completely erased from the narrative. Let's start with the basics. Mikey McCoy appears to have a military background. Multiple people describe him as someone with serious operational experience. Not a random volunteer, but someone with legitimate security or military credentials. He's connected to TPUSA's broader security operation, though the exact nature of that connection isn't entirely clear. When you search for information about McCoy in relation to Charlie Kirk's assassination, you find almost nothing. No interviews, no statements. No official acknowledgement from TPUSA or the security company. That's unusual for someone who apparently played a central role in what happened that day. I reached out to multiple people who were present at the event. Some declined to comment. One person who agreed to speak off the record said this: Mikey was definitely there. He was doing security work. Beyond that, I can't really say. So he existed in that space, but why the silence? According to sources monitoring this situation closely, Mikey McCoy wasn't just another person in the crowd. He appears to have been operating in an official security capacity. Multiple sources referred to him as someone who took charge or directed operations during the chaos after the shooting. If that's accurate, his name should be central to any investigation. He should be extensively interviewed. His decisions and actions should be documented and discussed. Instead, we have complete silence. From available video footage, here's what appears to have happened. After the shooting, McCoy can be seen moving through the area. Then he appears to walk away from the scene, on his phone, not looking back, not visibly engaged in immediate medical response or scene management. One observer noted, he just walked away like he was leaving a regular event. No ducking, no covering, no apparent urgency. Just walked away on his phone. That behavior stood out to security professionals as unusual. In professional security responses to an active threat, trained personnel follow specific patterns: taking cover, assessing for additional threats, beginning medical response, coordinating with others. What we see from McCoy is different. Security professionals who've reviewed available footage point out that his behavior doesn't match standard crisis response patterns. It looks more like someone receiving information, communicating orders, or possibly removing himself from the situation. The phone is significant. Who was he talking to? Law enforcement? Other security personnel? We don't know. Those phone records haven't been made public. A former Special Forces operative commented, if this guy was in command during that response, his communications and movements should be forensically examined. That's basic incident investigation. The fact that we're not hearing about this analysis suggests it's either been done and buried, or it hasn't been done at all. Here's what bothers me most. Mikey McCoy is completely absent from the official story. Brian Harple had 3 hours to tell his version of events. He discussed everything: training methods, team credentials, security protocols, specific conversations. He went into detail about equipment, positioning, and decision-making. And in all of that, McCoy, who apparently took charge of the response, doesn't merit a single mention. There are a few possibilities. Either Harple simply forgot to mention him, unlikely, given how thoroughly he discussed everything else, or there's a deliberate effort to minimize McCoy's role, which raises the obvious question, why? Maybe there's conflict between Harple and McCoy. Maybe McCoy's account differs significantly from Harple's. Maybe there's a dispute about who failed and who performed well. Or maybe McCoy has been advised not to speak publicly for legal reasons.
which would be significant in itself. I've attempted to reach Mikey McCoy directly. No response. I've asked TPUSA for a statement about his role. No response. I've contacted the security company asking for clarification. No response. That silence is deafening. One journalist following this story told me, nobody wants to talk about McCoy. When you bring him up, you get uncomfortable silences and redirects. It's like he's the person everyone knows about, but nobody wants to discuss. Here's what might actually be happening. Maybe the real story isn't about one security head's failures. Maybe it's about dysfunction within the entire security operation. If Mikey McCoy took charge during the crisis, that suggests the primary security structure was either insufficient or had failed in real time. You don't have someone else taking command unless the original command structure has broken down. That's a much bigger story than poor planning. That's internal chaos. That's a security detail that was fractured and unclear in its hierarchy. If Harpel was the head of security but McCoy took over during the actual event, what does that tell us? It could mean McCoy had higher authority than Harpel. Or McCoy stepped in because Harpel was incapacitated. Or there was no clear chain of command at all. Security experts universally agree, unclear chains of command in security operations lead to failures. You need to know who's in charge and what the succession protocol is. Any deviation creates gaps exactly at the moment when clarity is most critical. A former Secret Service agent told me, if someone is taking charge of a response that wasn't originally designated to take charge, that's a red flag. The fact that this person's name isn't even in the public discussion is bizarre. Either he's being protected for some reason, or there's a coordinated effort to minimize his presence. A security consultant with 20 years of experience added, in any major incident involving a principal being killed, you document everything. Every personnel member, every decision, every action. The absence of documentation on someone who apparently took charge suggests either incompetence in the investigation or intentional omission. A military operations officer made a simple observation. Leadership matters. Who was actually in command at that moment? That answer determines a lot. Let me lay out what we need to know. Where is Mikey McCoy now? Has he been interviewed by law enforcement? Why hasn't he spoken publicly? What's his account of what happened? Was there conflict between him and Harpel? If he took charge, at what point and why? Who did he call immediately after the shooting? Has he been involved in any legal proceedings? Most fundamentally, why is his name absent from Brian Harpel's 3-hour account? These aren't conspiracy theory questions. These are basic investigative questions that any thorough examination should address. Remember what Brian Harpel said? The truth is like a lion. You set it free and it'll fight for itself. Okay, let's test that. If transparency is the goal, if getting the truth out matters, then let's see Mikey McCoy on camera. Let's hear his version. Let's have him explain his role and decisions. If his account corroborates Harpel's, great. If it differs significantly, that's information we need. And if he has nothing to hide, speaking publicly should enhance his reputation. The fact that we're hearing radio silence is telling. Here's what actually matters. If Mikey McCoy's role is being minimized or hidden, what else might be incomplete in the official story? We've already identified problems with Harpel's account. The drone regulation lies, the failure to verify rooftop coverage, the contradictions about venue selection and hospital choice. Now add an apparently crucial figure in the crisis response whose name doesn't even appear in the narrative. This doesn't prove conspiracy, but it absolutely proves incompleteness. It suggests either poor investigative work that's failed to properly document key personnel or intentional curation of the narrative. Neither option is reassuring. So to return to the original question, who is Mikey McCoy? I don't have a complete answer, but I have a lot of questions, and I have an absence, a significant absence from the official narrative of a person who apparently played a central role. That absence might be innocent. But in a case this significant, with this many questions already unanswered, that silence is conspicuous. The truth is like a lion. Let's see if it actually fights for itself. Let's see if Mikey McCoy steps forward. Let's see if his role gets properly documented and discussed. Right now, the story we're being told has a massive missing piece, and that missing piece is a person. If you have any information about Mikey McCoy's role that day, drop a comment below. And if you found this investigation valuable, please like and subscribe. We're uncovering the details others won't discuss. New deep dives every week. This has been The Rational Brit. Stay skeptical, stay curious, stay rational. Cheers.